Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. Today I'm joined by the lovely Miranda Joan. I'm so excited to chat with her about her music journey and also her newest single, Home, which came out the beginning of March. How's it going? So excited to see you.
So good to be here with you. I'm so excited. And yeah, put out Home March 9th and with a music video that I'm super stoked to share. It was filmed where I am right now, which is in Vancouver, Canada. So it's a glimpse of my home. This is where I grew up. And yeah.
Let's get into it then. What was the process of making that song specifically and then creating the music video surrounding it?
The song has actually been a long time in the works. I wrote it when I first actually left Vancouver when I was 17. And it was sort of all these questions I had running through my head as a high school graduate trying to figure out life and setting off on your own. And then I've sat on it. I've played it a lot at my live shows, you've heard. But kind of in this full circle moment where in the time of pandemic, that was a very uprooted time, wound up back home for a little while and put the song together again and ended up filming a music video for it with a friend of mine who's also from here, who also usually lives in New York and happened to be home. So it was a lot of love surrounding this particular release. And so to be home also while releasing it was a beautiful full circle moment.
Yeah, because you probably, in a normal world, you probably wouldn't have been back there when this was happening.
No, in a normal world, I would have been in New York still. So yeah, which I look forward to coming back to in the summer. But for now, just enjoying this moment for what it is.
Yeah, and that's really cool too that you got to work on it with somebody who also was from your home and can give that kind of light to the piece.
Yeah, because I think it's a particularly personal song, and I think to be able to work with somebody who just knows you so well and can kind of tap into some of that vulnerability at a time where I think, a lot of people have been feeling especially vulnerable, it was really nice to have that extra level of love.
Yeah. I should have written it down. I read something that you posted on Instagram, I think, yesterday, about that you had written about this song, saying that you had a lot of transitioning of home in your life, and that's kind of where this song came from. I don't know if you wanted to kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking about. I was writing about how as a child I moved around a lot, and I think continued that wayfaring into my adulthood and have thought a lot about what it means to be home, having had to build a home in so many different places. What does that really mean? Is it something that exists in a physical place, or is it something that you carry with you? And I think, again, in this year of tumultuousness and uprootedness, thinking a lot about where is home for me? And some of it is in a physical place, but also so much of it lives with people, the people that make a place feel like home, that you see yourself reflected in others. And it's been an interesting time to really feel that,
I think, speaking for myself, but probably for others too, a lot of people are realizing that there are things that make a place feel like home. So it's hard to either lose those things or not be around those things for a while. And when I first listened to this song, it hit me. There's a line in it too, and you're like, "Don't cry." I'm like, "Well, I'm already crying, so I don't know."
You're like, "Don't tell me how to feel."
My mom recently moved out of my childhood family home, and that was in this past summer. So when I listened to this song, I was like, oh yeah, home is not that place, even though that home isn't there anymore, that doesn't mean home isn't there anymore.
Right, for sure. And I think it's funny that you bring up your mom, because I do think of, like, I hear these questions that my 17-year-old self was asking, and I smile because I still have those questions. And I think my expectation of like finding the answers has changed.
Mhm.
You know, it's like the questions are as dynamic as life. Like, will I find love? I want to be loved. Like, that's such love exists. But in the way that I think I was thinking about it then was very different than how I have grown to understand it. But I think that part of like, I have a home back with you, especially at that time in my life, was a lot to do with my mom. Like, I was raised by a single mom, and so we, talking about moving around a lot. And I do think of that line very much as thinking about her. Like, wherever you are, I'll always have a home there,
Yeah. I saw your live you did with her the other day. It was so sweet. I can tell that she was like, I can tell you have like a strong bond with her, and just being able to like see your interactions together and her questions, that was really cool, and to bring like that out of you about this song.
I love that. Yeah, it was so funny. She's like, all right, we're ready. Got my questions, putting the hat on. And again, just talking about like all these little kind of full circle special moments that I think I maybe would have taken for granted in our like normal life, but I think we've all had to stretch ourselves in this last year to find those smaller moments of connection that like make something feel special or like significant, versus sort of the monotony of, kind of Groundhog Day that we're all living every day.
Yeah. It's hard to sometimes like stop and take a look and be like, oh, this moment actually is like really special, even though it's small. And I think I'm definitely trying to do that, more of that, especially on like going on walks more and being like, oh, the sun is out. This is making me happy. Like, this is a good thing, like that's a good thing. That's a big thing.
Yes, it is. It's those small, like taking refuge in the small joys that I think otherwise, especially in New York, but I think I'm like constantly chasing the day and like chasing the moments versus just being in them and appreciating them. And in this time where we've all slowed down in our own ways, like noticing the buds as they begin to blossom on the trees, and I'm so excited. And it's just That's
really funny that you said that, because I looked out my window a couple days ago and I was like, oh, there's blossoms on the trees, and I like took a photo.
This is me. I'm like, the bud. Yeah, it's very it's a very interesting time.
Yeah, but it's nice because like we should be like looking at those things and thinking about those things more, and so to be able to like kind of pull your mind out of the usual headspace is cool.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting opportunity to like take stock and think about when those doors do open, like what is really worth rushing back to, and what is, maybe not necessarily top of the list. I think we've all had a lot of time to think about it.
What are some of the things between home in Vancouver and home in New York that make you feel at home in both places?
They couldn't be more opposite places. And there's something beautiful about that I feel very grateful for, because each place caters to a very specific part of my soul. I love the outdoors. I'm a big outdoors person, and in Vancouver it's like very wild very quickly, and it's I was saying to you earlier, it's like Planet Earth episode 4, conifer forests. It's epic, and I love that. And I think when you are in nature, there's certain things about it that just transcend you in your own little world. Like, you can kind of zoom out and see things on a much larger scale. So like, I love that about Vancouver, and I find it a very grounding place to like come back to and recenter, recharge, all that good stuff. And then New York is all about like human-made beauty, and there's so much of that, and I love that. I love art, I love music, I love the ways in which people express themselves in that place, and there's something that feels very like at home about that to me, that I think I miss in other places. Like it's just this free-for-all freedom of expression and this hub for creativity that is like very inspiring and has made me a much better musician. Like I am so much better for the time I've spent in New York and for the people that I've been exposed to and become close with. Like it's just made me so much better.
How long ago did you move here? Was it for school? Was it after school?
Yeah, I was originally in Montreal for university, and then I transferred like a little over halfway through to a music school in the city, and then I finished my degree there and stayed, and I've been there the last 8 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you felt that sense of home and artistry in New York? Do you remember like a specific moment?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think I was so just like gobsmacked by the whole place, because it wasn't really on my radar, if I'm being perfectly honest. It was a very kind of serendipitous series of events. I like went to a jam session at a pizza place because a friend of mine was like there, and I flew down and met this person who was like, you should come to this school. And I was like, what? And I ended up moving a few months later. Like it was very all of a sudden. But the opportunity presented itself, and I just went for it. And I'm so glad that I did. But so I think, I think the first time I probably went to like a live show, which would have been at one of the jazz clubs at the time I was studying jazz. It would have been Smalls or even Fat Cat, probably going down there and just seeing the scene and the hang and hearing people play the way that they can play. I don't know if I necessarily felt at home in it, but I felt like this is where I want to be. Like these are people that I can connect with, that I think care about the same things that I care about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's like the bridge to feeling like, oh, this is a place where I want to stay and like build a home and create the world that I want to live in.
I would say like any place I've lived, I find there's sort of a 3-year, there's like a special thing that happens around the 3rd year of when you live in a place, where you really start to find like your people in that place. And I would say that's true of New York. I think around like the 3rd-ish year, I started to kind of like find my people. Yeah. And it started to really feel like home.
Yeah, that's cool. And you have like a group of people who you perform with a lot. Remind me, there's like a collective, like a women's collective. I can't remember the name right now.
Yes, so I co-host and co-founded Fem Jam, which is a jam session that's like all female led with an all female 11-piece house band and a DJ. Once a month at Come On Everybody in Brooklyn. And the women that I started that with, Melissa McMillan, Camille Trust, and Alita Moses, we sing together all the time, and I feel very much at home with all of them. And it's just been this beautiful force of like love and music and just deliciousness in my life. So that is definitely in my world like a collective for sure of support. Like we'll also all sing on each other's stuff, and we'll all perform shows together outside of just the jam, and then that's kind of this rallying point every month that is just an outlet to be ridiculous, and it's so fun.
It sounds fun. And so I've seen you perform, in other ways, but I haven't seen the Fem Jam session yet, and hopefully I'll get to one day because that sounds amazing.
You would love it. Yeah, I feel like you'd have a great time.
Oh man. Yeah, well, speaking of performing, like the last show that we even put on in person, like Miranda played it, and that was like a great show, but also a very like kind of like quaint like little homey show too. And I think like your voice and presence like led very well to that space and like that vibe. I'm glad that was like one of the last shows I saw.
Thank you. I mean, that was my last show in New York in like normal life. That was the last one, was that showcase. And it was this, it's so funny, again, talking about like taking stock and appreciating the moments. I think in the city sometimes you just slam through each thing, and I look back on that now as just like what a wonderful opportunity to be in like an intimate space with people and like share music and play with other people. And I can't wait to have more of those. And yeah, it was like a real gift, and I'm really grateful that that's kind of how I went out.
How have you been kind of coping with the no playing live during this whole time?
I think I speak for a lot of my peers, because I live in a particular circle that is very like live performance centric. And I think it's been a big heartache not having that outlet, because there is something that's just so special about having that exchange with others, with people, with an audience, that you don't get singing to a screen, or like just singing alone in your room. There's an energetic exchange that happens between people, and especially in a live show, the audience is just as much a part of it, because we are sharing in this moment that will never happen again. Like, this will never be exactly like this ever again. This performance, cannot be edited, cannot be repeated. It's like this singular moment that is magical. And I think I've suffered definitely heartache over not having those opportunities. But I will say the flip side is that, again, when those doors are open, I'll take it all in with a newfound appreciation and gratitude for that experience,
Yeah, and like I thought that I loved concerts before, but when you think about it, like this moment, it's like not gonna happen again. And a lot of like moments, just like instantaneous moments, like we don't think about that a lot, like consciously. And again, this like time period makes you start thinking about like, oh, this is something I need to like be in the zone for. I need to like be here and like be with it, and not like be thinking about something else, because like this is happening right now. Sometimes it's hard to live in the moment, but
we're looking at those buds on the trees. Oh, yes, just trying to be in the moment and like and appreciate it. It seems silly and simple and like obvious, we should intuitively know these things, but I think I can speak for myself when I say I think I spent a lot of time like chasing the golden carrot, and I've had it all along, Yeah.
Do you I know you talked a little bit to me about this, or do you have any plans of putting out anything new, like an album or another single? What's happening?
Yes, I have a lot of music coming down the pipeline, because I think, again, we have this time, and it has been fruitful from a like songwriting standpoint, and just like getting things done that otherwise you've sat on for way too long. So yes, I have another single that I'm going to put out in month, and then follow up with the full record, and then I have a couple other little ditties after that, and then it's on to the next project. So you can count on a lot of new music coming out of this gal.
Has anything been being put on as long as Home, or are they more like newly written stuff?
It's a mix. It's definitely a mix. So some things that are part of a greater project that have been has been in the works. Because I think, like all things, it always takes that much longer to get things to the finish line than you really think. And then, some newer things coming out as well that I'm also really excited about. So just trying to give everything its like due diligence, spend so much time on it. And then by the time it's ready, you're like, I don't know about this. But no, it's going to be, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to share it with everyone.
I think I can speak for myself, but I hope everyone else too is excited to take it all in. And if you haven't taken in Miranda's new single Home yet, you really should. And check out the video, because like she said, Vancouver is beautiful, and that video is like a freaking movie. Like I want to be there.
I know, I feel like I'm waiting for David Attenborough to just at all times ominously appear and like narrate what it is that I'm witnessing.
Yeah. It's awesome. But thank you so much for chatting today, Miranda. It was so nice talking to you and learning more about Home, the single, and just, in general. Hopefully we can get back to hanging in person soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Marissa, for having me, for chatting. Definitely check out the music. I hope you like it. And if you do, stay tuned for more to come. But yeah, I feel I'm optimistic, I have to say. I feel like when it opens up, it's gonna pour and it's gonna be beautiful. So I very much look forward to that too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for watching, and have a good one. Till next time.